faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative! It's a liberal!
It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Good morning, and welcome to another adventure into podcast talk radio /TV. Yes, I am the evil radio talk show host, Mike Wiley, Hillary Clinton's favorite talk show host. By the way, if you go to our website, which has all been set up and reset up, and it's all nice and neat, you can purchase a signed copy of the Diary of Hillary's Right-Wing Conspirator. For those of you that weren't paying attention to the first 4 years of the war, 1993 to 1996, and find out what the hell was going on, that's a great book. It's also a good book for those of you who are considering running for office. And if you are considering running for office, we are offering our political campaign services. Okay, I probably do hold the record for the most votes in the U.S. Senate race with the least amount of money spent. In 1994, I took 39 out of 67 counties in the state of Florida, came in second, forcing a runoff, and I had spent a total of $15,000. We also have these Second Amendment shirts, because we know that we can't use the term militia. So this one is the Texas shirt. I'm wearing Florida. Florida's in a green camo. Texas and Arizona are in a brown camo. And you've got your state flag, Texas, remember the Alamo, Betsy Ross flag, and you get the Don't Tread on Me flag. And you're $34.95. If you buy more than one, you get a 10% discount. Again, that's at the WileyInfonet.com website. And then you'll read all about me and get to know my history and know that I'm just not a normal lunatic. I'm actually a right-wing extremist. Oh, I'm sorry. Far right. I'm far right. You know, there's far right, far left, and then there's far asshole. All right, so the 165th year of war has started between the Confederate Progressive Manchurian Democrats and the United States of America, which right now is about 29 to 30 states. 20 states of the Confederacy still exist, and we've got to do something about it. I already came up with a program called the Two-State Solution, where we take 8 red states that have blue capitals and are controlled by the blue, split those up with a secession as done in 1863 by the state of West Virginia. And the nice part about it is we currently have a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate, which means we can get these secessions taken care of and create 9 new states. East Washington, East Oregon, East California, North Nevada, South Colorado, West Minnesota, West Illinois, North New York, and the islands of New York. We're going to split New York into 3. This is not my idea. This has actually been thought of before. Matter of fact, the islands of New York were supposed to separate just around the Civil War time from New York. So these things have been thought before, but they haven't been put into place. But we have a problem. And the problem is that evidently they've been able to buy the judiciary We just saw where the Supreme Court, evidently a few members of the Supreme Court that aren't far left Looney Tune Democrats, have decided that some judge from Wakasakamaka, New Zealand, can tell the President of the United States what to do. And that's not right. So the battle plan is kind of different. You know, the Democrats recognize the fact that the impeachments didn't work. They're two fake impeachments where they should have actually gone to jail for fraud. They would have if it was done in a court of law. But since it was done in the U.S. Senate, you can get away with that shit. So this is the war this week with Mike Wiley. We're no longer going to be doing any more upon further reviews because basically I have discovered everything that everybody's now discovering. I've already talked about it. I've already done shows on it. And what we're going to do is, it takes time, but I'm going to go through these and edit them into compact 1-hour videos so that you can have a library of stuff to go through so you can see what information I've already brought to the table. For instance, I've already brought to you the information that the Great Depression was a fake. It was a fraud. It was a Democratic plan to destroy the Republican Party and destroy the United States financially so that they could come and take it over for 65 years, and that worked. Now, you could say, Mike, you're crazy, but I discovered the issue by two major things. One, from 1900 to 1930, there was this concept in the United States of business industrial boom of blacks in America, and it was called the golden age of black enterprise. But it ended in 1930. Now, why would it end in 1930? There's your first clue. Then what you find out is that in 1920, 1924, 1928, 3 straight presidential elections, the Republicans won by landslides. And the Democrats had had enough of that. So they had to come up with something to kill the Republican Party and get people thinking Democrat. So they decided, hey, we want the blacks to come into our party. We need to make them poverty stricken. Let's come up with a fake depression. And so they did. Now you could say, Mike, what are you talking about? Look it up. Look up Milton Friedman. I've done a show on this. I have his video where he explains exactly what happened. And what happened was that there was a correction because from 1920 to 1928, the stock market was booming and it was a tremendous amount of growth. Everybody was doing fine. The Republicans had cut back on the taxes that were created by the Democrats in 1913, the illegal income tax, because it's a direct tax and the founding fathers prohibited that. We also have the situation where we have these millionaire senators. And why are they millionaire senators? Because that's the game they play. And in 1913, the 17th Amendment made it so that the states could no longer choose their senators to represent them, which of course is a violation of the Constitution. Why in God's name it hasn't been overturned yet, I have no idea. And of course, before the 17th Amendment was the 16th Amendment, which was the fake fraudulent income tax, which today has billions, millions of pages of it. It's a joke. It's a real joke. And it's used to steal money from the American people. And it's used by the Democrats to manipulate the nation. And that's why I have 2 issues going on right now. With the Internal Revenue Service that haven't got back to me yet. They're about 1.5 years behind. The IRS can't handle all the baloney. I don't know how many stupid people they've hired, but there's some things that are criminal, and I'll give you for instance. Okay, to me this is a crime. Okay, have you ever heard of the crime of fraud? All right. So here's the deal: the Internal Revenue Service, the federal government, the IRS tells you that inflation in 2022 during the reign of Biden the last, that inflation was a total of $8,417 per American. That means we paid an additional $8,417 towards what we normally would have spent. Well, we had to spend more because of the Biden inflation created by the Inflation Act and all the other shit they were trying to do. Remember, the Democrats spent $10 trillion more than we had in those 4 years, and that's why we are in the financial condition we're in now. We'll get through it, but the Democrats don't want us to get through it, and that's why you're seeing all this lawfare shit, which I'm going to get into, coming from them. They cannot stand to watch the Republicans make things good. Remember, they realized that once Republicans get into government and they run things right, nothing changes. Everything's good. Everything's wonderful. People like it. That's why they had to come up with the Great Depression. They had to stop what was going on, which was a constant re-electing of Republicans because they were doing things right. So in 2022, I'm filling out my tax return. And I see the note from the IRS says, hey, we're real nice guys. We're going to increase the standard deduction by $400 for inflation. Aren't we wonderful?
Excuse me, but isn't inflation $8,417? You're a little off, aren't you?
Huh? What's going on? Is the Internal Revenue Service trying to stiff all of us? Because I know most of us in a certain realm of finances, we could sure use that write-off of $8,417. Well, you know, when you look at the tax return, now I've been in finance and accounting for 50 years. Yeah, I'm not old. 50 years. And I did broadcasting and some politics along the way. But I've always done my own tax returns. And I'm going, wait a minute. Inflation's 84.17, and I did a show on this. And here's the article from the IRS saying inflation was 84.17. Then why are they only giving us $400? Because they're shoving it up our ass like they do all the time. And the Democrats use the Internal Revenue Service code to manipulate monies so that
Democrats get bonuses, Republicans get the shaft.
That's why I call this a radio show, because I was a radio guy until Hillary Clinton decided that I was not. So I looked at the tax form, and it says, I think it's line 22, it says, amount of taxes paid during the year. Well, inflation is a tax. Shall we go through all the videos of everybody saying inflation is a tax on the American people? Okay, the IRS recognizes that it's a tax on the people, and that's why they gave us an adjustment on the standard deduction. That one action that they did proves that they know what the problem is and why we need to have it deducted. The question is, why didn't they give us $8,417 since they know that's what inflation is? Because they're trying to screw us. The federal government tries to screw us, and we're finding out all this shit now with Doge and all this crap of all the money they've spent. Some of these people are going to be going to jail for a long time. Hopefully, we won't waste money on them. Electric chair. Well, I think we can waste $1.50 or something. Maybe Musk can get the cost of the electric chair charge down to like maybe 30 cents or something with his little electric things, and start zapping these assholes because they have to pay. You know, crime and punishment. They've committed the crimes, and it's time for their punishment. So I filled it out that way, and I got a letter from the IRS, Department of Stupidity, and they go, Mr. Wiley, you tried to put together a frivolous tax return. Yeah, you're being frivolous. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you 60 days to fix it, or otherwise we're going to charge you $500 penalty. Oh, no, 5,000 now. It's 5,000. Yeah. The Democrats increased it from 500 to 5,000. Yeah, we're going to penalize you $5,000. So, of course, I hid in the closet and didn't do anything. Okay, all right. So I didn't hide in the closet. I sent them a nice letter, basically shoving it up their ass, telling them, bing, bang, bing, boom, come and get me. Let's go. Let's go to court. Let's fight this thing out because this shit has got to end. Somebody's got to do something about it, and it has to deal with the finances of the United States. And you know what? I'm as qualified as most of these other people that find this stuff out, find out where the fraud is, and fix it. So, here's what happened. Let me ask you this question. You've been raised by your parents, if you were lucky to have nice parents. My dad was a teamster, truck driver, and my mom basically sold women's clothing, and then she started her own business in the house called Marion's Party Favors. My mom was a business person. She handled all the finances. And my dad was that nice guy that helped people out. That's the way he was. There's a picture of him when he was in the Seas in World War II in the Pacific, and he's standing there and he's holding two guys, one on each shoulder. I saw that picture and I go, don't screw with your dad because he can kill you. Okay, he only smacked me once, and that was it. That's all I needed to learn. So I take after my dad. I'm my father's son. He was a gentleman. He was good to people. He had a kind heart. And he always believed that we should do things for people to help them along. You know, like a little socialism is good to help out. And I think everybody recognizes that concept. I have a question for you. If you were given $25 million, if you were given $25 million, what would you do with it? What would you do with $25 million? Now, I was brought up a certain way. And, you know, sometimes we don't remember how we've been encoded with a code of honor that we got from our parents about how to do things and how to treat people and how to help people. And so it never occurred to me that I would one day face that concept. What would you do if you had $25 billion? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of blew up. I was watching one of the brain dead Democrats. This one, there's these two clowns up in New England, Markey and Murphy, and I've already done a couple little videos on them, and I'm going to continue because while they think they're safe in their domains of Democrats, there's still a danger to the United States because if they win, the country's just going to be gone because they're not going to allow like anything like Trump to ever happen again. Okay. They were able to come out and come up with a depression and destroy the United States financially for years. 4 years. They were in power for 60 years, the Democrats. 60 years. And what's kind of funny is that ended when I ran for politics. And even though I was running as a America First Democrat, yeah, I started America First in 1994. Yeah, it's real. And it was based on what my father thought as a he wasn't too educated. He graduated high school, but he never went to college. But he had his way about people and way things were and how we should treat people. So I'm going to ask you this question. If you had $25 million, what would you do with it? So 2 weeks ago, I'm watching TV and the Democrats have decided they're going to come out and attack Trump for everything. And now, of course, attacking Trump is like attacking the person who God has sent to earth to help us. Okay? And he's doing everything he can for the benefit of America, but these group of scum don't like that shit. And so they're going to do something about it. And the only thing they can do is lie. They have to lie. Because they can't attack Trump and say, he's helping too many people out. He's helping this. He's helping that. No, they can't. No, they have to say, no, he wants to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare, blah, 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 and all this other constant horseshit that I'm so sick of. I really am sick of it. So I'm sitting in my recliner, and here comes Marky, and he starts pulling up some bullshit, and all of a sudden, I just snapped. And I went, that's it. I'm going to shove it up his ass. I'm going to work to relocate to Massachusetts. And I'm going to go up there, and God willing, I'm going to get in a debate with him. And like I did to Hillary Clinton's brother, and like I did to Ellis Rubin, I'm going to chew him up in a matter of 60 seconds. Because that's how you do it. It's the samurai, I call it the samurai sword. If you're ever running for politics and you want a campaign consultant, that's what I do. I can teach you or try to get you to understand how to chop somebody's head off in 60 seconds. Because once you've chopped off your opponent's head in a debate, they're done. Because they're standing there and the head's on the floor rolling, and you're there with the samurai sword with the blood on it. Okay, but they can't say anything else because you've terminated their bullshit. And it's very crucial. And when you're going in a debate, and most people don't know how to do this, I do. It's a gift. Maybe it's a gift from God. Maybe that's why he's saved my life 2-3 times already, so that I can continue to speak this way and speak the truth. So I go, that's it. So I start planning to go up to Massachusetts and work things out. I have all my family's up there. I grew up in Massachusetts. I was born in Boston. Grew up in Marblehead, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the American Navy. I stood in the middle of a snowstorm at Lexington Green in 1996 when I was the spokesperson for Pat Buchanan, and I was standing there talking to the crowd and presenting to the crowd, waiting for the Secret Service to come bring Pat to the rally because he had just won New Hampshire, and when you win New Hampshire, they then assign you Secret Service protection. So I'm going into this, and I started getting a hold of the Mass GOP and some of their people there. And they said, okay, well, you can call this person or that person. They do, I'm a political consultant, but I don't do fundraising, and I don't do the paperwork, and I don't set up media. You have to have a media person in the area that knows all the TV stations. That's what you have to do. I know how to strategize. I know how to do all the stuff, but there's 3 things I don't know how to do. So that's where you go for help. So I'm talking to this nice woman who I was suggested to talk to, and she said to me, "Well, if you're going to run, you're going to have to raise at least $25 million." And my first thought was, $25 million. You want me to spend $25 million to run for a U.S. Senate seat? And I thought to myself, I can't, and I told her, I can't spend $25 million on a political campaign. To me, that's ridiculous. If I had $25 million, I'd probably work on a program to get every single veteran I could off the streets and being put into a home where he could live and be fed. $25 million feeds a lot of veterans. That's the way I was raised. I told you I can't spend that kind of money. And they said, well, the last guy who lost by 800,000 votes raised $6 million. And then it hit me. Let's go back to 1913, and let's go to the 17th Amendment, where the progressive scum of America decided that senators shouldn't be appointed by the state legislatures, but they should be elected by the average person, which of course would be an average millionaire, average billionaire, and it's a money thing, and it's always turned into a money thing. And that's why so many millionaires are up in the US Senate, and of course we have millionaires in the Congress, because for some reason, we haven't figured this out yet, but I know Doge is going to look into it. We have these Democrats like AOC, so the Somali pirate Elon Omar. For some reason, these worthless pieces of garbage who spew bullshit are getting paid under the table by somebody. Because how can you you leave your bartending job, you've got 50 cents to your name, and you get people to donate so you can run for Congress, and you get a salary of 174,000. So after 4 years, you've got maybe $800,000 of money plus whatever you pay out, less whatever you pay out. Where'd the $26 million that you have come from? Where's the $29 million Somali pirates got, or $34 million? Where do those monies come from? Who's paying these pieces of garbage to spew bullshit? And I think it's George Soros, the Nazi. He's the last living Nazi on the planet. And I say that even though he's Jewish, because he was a Nazi. Yeah, he worked for the Nazis. Yeah, he helped distribute all the gold and everything they were taking from the Jews before they toasted them in ovens. He's an evil piece of shit. Of course he's going to do everything he can to destroy this country, because that's his job. And my job is to save the country. So all of a sudden I'm like, I can't spend that money. It's against my nature. It's against my upbringing to spend $25 million on a political campaign when you can feed people with that. You can help create jobs, businesses. Why do you think I established America First in 1994? My America First campaign was to rebuild the inner cities, create jobs. Okay, let's take all the products we're buying from China and let's put them into the United States and let's manufacture them in the inner cities. We have all these brick buildings. There's brick buildings, all old style manufactured brick buildings that are sturdy. You can refurbish them and make them look real nice. And you open up a manufacturing facility in the cities of Chicago, New York, 50 cities that can do it. And what you do is you have an in-house daycare center so that single mothers who are having trouble getting work because they have no one to watch their children could take their children to work and drop the children off at the daycare center, and then they could work, and at the end of the day, they pick up their kids and they go home. But they're able to make money. They're able to support themselves. Anyways, I can't do that. I can't spend all this money. In 1994, when people came to me, it was actually Republicans came to me and said, right after the gun rally I led, they came up to me right after the rally and said, Mike, we need you and go to Washington. We want you to challenge Connie Mack. I went, I'm not challenging him in a primary. That's stupid. But I'll run as a populist Democrat because I'm a JFK Democrat from Massachusetts, even though I never joined the Democratic Party until then. But I figured out that that's how I would run. I looked at a few statistics. One of them was that in 1992, this guy named Bill Clinton ran for president. And when he came to Florida and campaigned, it turned out that there were 39 counties out of 67 in Florida that had majority Democrat representation. Remember, back in those days, Florida was a split state. They call it purple or something. And there were a lot of Democrats there. And so here's 39 counties with majority Democrat registrations. Bill Clinton didn't take one of them. Why? Because they were more likely gun owners. A lot of gun owners in Florida. I believe 50% of the electorate in Florida is gun owners, registrations. So I said, okay, if I take those 39 counties, I should be able to come in second. And if I come in second out of 4, there'll be a runoff, and then it'll be me versus the other, and then I should be able to win. The only thing I wasn't counting on was her. See, there's this blonde woman in the White House, and she wants to be queen of the universe. And to be queen, she has to be elected president. And to be elected, she needs to make sure she can run in the presidential election in the future and not have anybody that could possibly kick her ass in a presidential race. Now, if she had only come to me and say, Mike, do you have intentions of becoming president of the United States? And I would have said, hell no. I would never want that job. Can you imagine the stress? Me with high blood pressure since 1972? I can't do that, and I wouldn't do that. I would help the president, but I sure as hell am not going to be president. I don't want that. I don't want that pressure. Okay, I've learned in my 50 years in business that I like being the second guy. Okay, I work for the top guy. I'm his left-hand, right-handed man. I do whatever's going to be done ahead of time before he even thinks about it. That's what I like. It's good to have corporate power, but I don't want to be the top guy, not in the presidency. If she had just asked me that question, I wouldn't have lost my radio job in 1995, a radio job I loved, but I opened up my mouth and said that I would challenge her for the U.S. Senate race in Massachusetts. And within 2 months, she had me removed from the air. And that's the name of that tune. So my first note here in my to-do of today, my decision not to run and why. So I decided I'm not going to run for U.S. Senate. I'm sorry, but back in 1994, I was running because people came to ask me to run. And the people that asked me to run didn't have money. Okay, so I wasn't going to raise a lot of money with these people, but they had properties. They put up their signs. There were signs all over the state of Florida, Wiley for Senate. I had nothing to do with them. I never even saw them. I saw one because a guy sent me a picture of the sign. And then I know that in one part of Florida, these people put up a big sign because she had a farm and a good road, not a major highway, but the smaller highways road went right by. They put a big sign up there for Wiley. And so I only had $15,000 to spend, but I came in second and I forced the runoff. But there's no way in hell I could spend $25 million on a political campaign when I know that there's a lot better things to do with that $25 million. And most of us are like that. We always are willing to help out our fellow man. That's what America is greatest about. But we have these insurgents, these people from hell, okay? Marxists, communists, they get free lo mein from Beijing every time they stab America in the back. All this shit about Biden and everything he did, the whole thing ball of wax. The only thing that people haven't answered is, why wasn't Ukraine in China? Huh? How come Ukraine and China was giving them all this money? Huh? Was China maybe behind the Ukraine war? Everybody blames Russia for going in, but did the Chinese have some kind of motivation? Like, the earth rare minerals in Ukraine, and the fact that Ukraine had 500 years of coal reserves, and China's got 35 years of coal reserves. I already did a show on this. I'm going to go through all my shows. I'm going to repackage them into smaller things so you can see all the stuff that I've already proven. I've already proven everything. I already know everything that's going on. So I'm not running, and here's the theory. I could spend, let's say I raised a couple of $1 million. I could spend $2 million going after one Democrat. But this mouth and this brain can sit right here and torch 100 of them. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay? We're at war, and now I'm getting fully involved again. But I have to. Why? Because I'm an American. Okay? Come on, you know what it is to be an American. And remember, I started America First in 1994. And that's documented. There's an article from a newspaper where it says Wiley and his America First agenda talked about the fact that I had only raised $25,000, $10,000 of which I had to pay to enter the race because you have to be rich to be a candidate. Okay, what did we learn on Tuesday night? I don't ever recall seeing a group of dumb shits sitting there doing nothing. They couldn't clap. They couldn't cheer. So what you're seeing is the control of the far left Looney Tune progressive Marxist communist pig scum that started in 1991. You know, the communists from Russia had to go somewhere, and I believe they went to two places. They went to Western Europe and got into the European Union and started that shit. And of course, that's why they want to attack Russia, because they couldn't take Russia over. So they're gonna go into other countries and try to have war with Russia that way. And then you get the Chinese. The Chinese want to control the world, and in order to control the world, they have to put their fingers and their monies into everything they can, and they can create as much money as they want to because they can. So we learned that the progressives have full control of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party basically has nobody that you're seeing on TV with any sense of patriotism. These people are not Americans. They're Marxist communist pigs. And that's why they refer to us as far right. Far right. It's all bullshit. But we have to fight them, okay? And there's about 105 of them going to be running around for re-election. So I'm picking my targets and I'm going after all of them. And I'm hoping to build the volume and the scope of this show so that more people can see the show. So I'm going to be looking into maybe putting this show on Spotify or on Apple or Truth Social. Right now I'm on Rumble. Okay, Rumble works pretty good, but I've got to come up with an advertising program to expand my audience. And that's difficult because now Rumble's added this new premium thing so that you can get the premium shows, which are people who never did talk radio or do this before. They're all amateurs. There is no two-party system. It's Americans versus Manchurians. Get that through your head. I think it's going to be easier for you to recognize after you watched Trump's speech. Now, I'm going to say one thing about Donald Trump. He's amazing. Okay. He's a man with a brain and a heart. And he loves America, and he loves helping Americans. He's done it all his life. Of course, the lying scum left-wing media will never tell you that because it's not their job to tell you that. It's their job for you to go, oh, I'm going to vote for these Democrats because they want to steal all my money. And I don't like having money. Here's my last 10 cents. Take it. Should New England be traded to Canada for Greenland? All right. See New England? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states that are all blue. That's 12 Democrat senators from Looney Tune land. It's about 21 reps from Looney Tune land. And I don't think it's ever going to change. The far left are so embedded. The capital of the communists is Cambridge. And why don't we just let the Canadians have it? Let them call it Southeast Canada. Southeast Canada. And then we'll concentrate on getting Greenland to do something with us, to become a territory or something. They're not going to be, Greenland's not going to become a state. We know that. Okay. They're not going to become a state. Denmark can't really protect them like we can. And so Trump will work a deal with them. They'll become a territory of the United States, so they can get special trade sanctions, and the Americans will put all the people in Greenland to work and improve their lives, and it will work out fine. And you will see once Canada gets rid of Trudeau and gets Pierre Bolivar in, the conservative. He'll work a deal with Trump. Everything will be fine. And then you'll see the United States sign an Arctic Circle agreement with Canada, Russia, and the United States. No, China won't be in there because China's not in the Arctic. Okay? And Trump's already worked a deal with Alaska. The Japanese have already come in and said, okay, here's $500 billion. We want oil and gas coming from the United States. They want liquid natural gas coming from Louisiana. Okay, for some reason, Joe Biden and the scumbag Democrats decided that we shouldn't be able to ship that stuff out. They're gone now. Let's make sure they never return. Two-state solution is the best bet. Add 9 states, 18 GOP senators, and 15 GOP reps in the House. I believe that's the best thing we can do. It's not difficult. Unfortunately, we already have people in California and Indiana and Oregon, but they're not thinking. They're just going, well, we don't want to be part of Oregon. Can we be part of Ohio, Idaho? What's that do? Does it add any senators, Republican senators? No, because you'd have to start a state. So why not start East Oregon instead of becoming West Idaho? You don't increase any. The 2 reps, congressional reps that they have now, are just going to go with them. There's no improvement. The country of America doesn't improve. The government of America doesn't improve. If all these people do is, in Chicago, there's 33 counties, they want to become part of Indiana. Why? So they get free video of the Hoosiers? Doesn't make sense. California's the same way. Except California's more Looney Tune. Okay, they're going to do this, and they're going to. I have to concentrate on that. We're going to run out of time. Okay, we have to get this done by next year. It's got to be done by 2026 to get these 9 new states added. Okay, East Washington, East Oregon, East California, Northern Nevada, Southern Colorado, Western Minnesota, Western Illinois, Northern New York, and the islands. Real simple. I have to find people to do this because they have to do it on their own ground. I can't do it from here. Lawfare versus the Constitution and malicious prosecution. How many of these lawsuits have standing? None. None of them have standing because they're all challenging Article 2 of the Constitution. Trump administration hit with over 100 lawsuits since inauguration. Oh, the Democrats are our friends, aren't they? Supreme Court rules Trump administration must unfreeze foreign aid payments. Now, why did that happen? Here's my take. The reason why they voted for that? Because the $2 billion of payments that are frozen are for services that have already been performed. Now, that basically means that there's a contractual agreement. And if you look at contract law, the United States has to make the payments or they're in default. And the Supreme Court's saying you can't go in default. Okay, it's not an Article 2 issue. That's what they're saying. Okay, I understand Article 2. I understand all this stuff. But from a contract standpoint, once I've heard yesterday that the services have already been provided. Now, were the services performed? Were their services performed? And were they performed in conjunction with the laws of the United States? That's the next step. They need to come back and say, hey, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. They violated the contract, and therefore we're in a contractual dispute, and settle it that way. Maybe it's only $1 billion that they're going to get, or 500,000, or whatever. But that's the situation in that case, in my opinion. Okay, so with more than 100 federal lawsuits filed since the inauguration, Trump and his administration have effectively been sued 3 times for every business day he has occupied the Oval Office. Approximately 30 of the 100 lawsuits relate to Trump's immigration policies, which of course gone, okay, because there's no immigration policy that is legal based on what the Democrats were doing. So these 30 lawsuits are nuisance lawsuits, and they're out. They're out. Out.
Get the fuck out.
Okay. While more than 20 of the cases directly challenge the actions of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know if you know this, but evidently Obama created the Department of Government Efficiency. He already created it. It's already an entity. All they're doing is they're changing the name of it. All right. But it was designed to be creating of technical support and improvements of the federal government operation. And that's why Musk walks around with a shirt that says technical support, because they're legally able to do that. So those 20 cases are gone. Gone, gone. 10 of the cases challenge Trump's policies relating to transgender people. Those are gone. Okay, why? Transgender people don't exist. In their minds, they exist, but not in reality. There's male and what's the other one? Oh, wait, female. Because he's made changes to federal funding. Okay. Veterans, transgenders, minorities. Okay. That's why you have the plantation Democrats, the black plantation Democrats, acting up everywhere with such stupidity. It's just amazing. I got to say this to you. Have you ever seen a black Republican act that damn stupid? Have you ever seen a black Republican do anything stupid? You know, the first 20 blacks in Congress were Republicans right after the Civil War and during Reconstruction. That's why you'll always see when someone says, yeah, he's the first black person elected since Reconstruction. Okay. But they were educated. They knew what they had to do. These were top-notch people. Why is it that the Republicans can put blacks with brains and intelligence and know-how and put them on TV and get them into power and everything's fine? But for some reason, Democrats can only find black people that are dumber than shit. Why is that? Because Democrats want you to believe blacks need help. Blacks can't do things on their own. That's why they had to destroy the 30 years of golden enterprise of black businesses. What are you going to do? Oh my God, there's 20,000 businesses, black-owned businesses doing well. Oh wait, 4 years later, now it's 40,000. They doubled it. 40,000. Now you've got 30 years of black people running around, building businesses, providing services. and not needing the Democrats once. They were all Republicans. Democrats couldn't go for that. No, sorry. We're going to control the universe, and we have to enslave everybody we can, and so we have to install shit. So we're going to go ahead and shove a fake Great Depression up everybody's ass. It was a correction. I've gone through this on my shows, how you can tell the correction of the 12 years of the growth in the stock market. But what happened was the Federal Reserve, and Milton Friedman explains this. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates to 6% when inflation was 0. Why would they do that? And that 1/3 of the available capital disappeared. And 1/3 of the banks disappeared. And that was the contraction to send the country into the toilet so the Democrats could get elected forever. And what happened? If, as Milton Friedman says, if the Federal Reserve was actually doing their job for America instead of doing the job the Democrats created them for, was to destroy the nation, it would have lasted maybe 4 months. It would have been a recession, a slight recession, correction in the market, and that would have ended around February 30th, March 1930. And of course, that would have been plenty of time for the Democrats to still get their ass kicked in the next presidential election. And in 30 was not presidential, but the midterms. Instead, because of the Depression, the Democrats picked up 50 House seats in 1930. And then they picked up 100 in 1932. And they got Franklin Roosevelt got shoved up our ass, him and his great society of slaves. I don't know what they have next, but I'm telling you, if you see what Trump has done, Trump has put together the best professional, loyal American team to run our government and to improve the economy. And so instead of having government as being the big money maker, like the Democrats like, because then they get to steal money. The Democrats can't steal money from a piggy bank in a kid's room that's got 5 cents in it. But they can steal from the government because they run the government. But if they don't run the government, they don't get to steal. Remember that. They can't steal if they don't run the government. So, I don't know what they're going to do now. But as I was getting to say, if you look at what Trump's done, he's built a 12-year Republican function. And what happens is when Republicans run the government 12 straight years, you have the golden age of black business. You had the roaring 20s and all this business boom. And the Democrats had to do something to stop it because the Democrats have to be in power. They're going to shrink and people will step on them because they'll be little midgets. Trump has put together a great team of people. A lot of them have known each other for a while. They're friends. They're all committed to the same thing. And right off the bat, the Democrats are that's why the Democrats have filed 100 fake federal lawsuits, because if they don't do that, they're going to jail because they'll be the ones being pulled to jail. They're trying to prevent themselves from being arrested. I got a better idea. Get the hell out of the country! Leave! Go! Now, we do have some open condos in Gitmo if you want. We'll gladly put you there. So there's 10 cases relating to transgenders. There's no such thing as a transgender. You're either a male or a female. If you think you're something else, that's your problem. More than 20 cases oppose the president's unilateral changes to federal funding, government hiring, and the structure of agencies like the USAG for International Development and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, you're going to go,
Yeah, Mike, what's that? Do you know?
Ever hear of Barack Obama? Ever hear of the year 2010? You know, that's when the world was supposed to end. Actually, it was supposed to be 2012, but our world almost ended in 2010. They came up with a scam called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and Pocahontas is in charge of it. Yeah, she's got millions of dollars. We don't know why, but we're going to find out. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was a program set up to create DEI. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but walk into a bank. When I was living in Las Vegas, I recall walking into my Wells Fargo bank, and there was maybe 15 employees, and one was a white male. Everybody else was Hispanic or Asian, and they were mostly women. And that was the DEI program from Consumer Financial Protection, because you see, the Democrats look at things like, okay, we need to control all the people employed in government to vote for us. So that's why we have to have government unions and all this government funding bullshit. And now we're going to take the banking industry over, and we need to be able to make sure all people that are going to vote Democrat are employed there. And that's what DEI was for and to set up. Okay, that's that scam, and that's why they're finding problems with Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because it has to deal with money. And if Democrats are dealing with money, they're stealing it. They're stealing it. It's like organized crime, you know. Where's my envelope this week? Yeah, there's only $12 million in the envelope. You're down $10 million. And of course, the U.S. Agency for International Development. It started with Obama. Now, I have looked at and I've analyzed federal spending for years. And in the age of Obama, there was one major tweak that just stood. Well, actually, there were two tweaks. The first tweak was that foreign aid was $2 to $3 billion less than NASA. When Obama was done, after his 8 years of hell, NASA was $3 to $4 billion less than foreign aid. Because as far as the Democrats were concerned, foreign aid was more important than the U.S. space program. Why? You can't get kickbacks from the space program. But foreign aid, you send the money overseas, and then it comes back to the islands, and you get your money, and Biden worked this out to a dream, and that's why he pardoned everybody that's got a last name of Biden. That's why he pardoned all these people that haven't been brought to jail yet, because he knows they're going to as soon as America puts Trump back in office, and he puts a real group of people into. I'm almost to 60 minutes. We're going to wrap this up. So nothing's really changed. The Democrats have to steal from us, and the only way to do that. With Trump signing more than 75 executive orders since taking office, the unprecedented flood of litigation has yielded mixed results in blocking the president's unilateral efforts to reshape the federal government. Yes, that's correct. The Democrats want to make sure Trump can't be effective, just like they did in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Because what you don't understand is you're a slave to the Democratic Party. The Democratic plantation has never ended. It's always been there. It's just been color coded, and it's been connected to certain groups. First it was the Confederates, and then it was the progressives in the 1913s. Okay, and then the Manchurians took over in 1992, and you'll see more of that when I still have three shows to do on the Clintons, the Obamas, and the Bidens for all their corruption. And that's the Chinese. The Chinese had open door policy with Bill Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton cut 330,000 employees out of the government, and he saved us like 340 billion. Unfortunately, he sent high technology to our enemy, China.
That's treason, Bill. But we like you, Bill. But we'll hang Hillary.
Hang Hillary. What a great name for a book. Anyways, that's it. Oh, let me just check to make sure. I've got this list here. Okay, law favors Constitution most. We did that. How many of these lawsuits have standing? Basically none. Should the FBI be arresting the creators of these false lawsuits designed to terrorize and inhibit positive improvements for the American people? Absolutely. Article 2 rules. Go F yourself. This is so frustrating to destroy our vote again. War is in play here. Okay. It is the 165th year of the war between the states. It's never ended. It's never ended. You may not have been paying attention to it, but and I don't know what they're going to do with CNN and MSNBC, but those people need to go away. Can you imagine that piece of garbage bitch on MSNBC who lies constantly makes a comment about, gee, I hope the 13-year-old black kid that was survived brain cancer, if he becomes a police officer, he doesn't get killed by one of Trump's followers at the Capitol. Oh, you mean January 6th? That phony piece of shit you're still trying to carry forward? Why is that? Because the January 6th committee could be sitting in electric chairs. Maybe we could raise money by letting people put in money for the send $10 in to get your card and your number. And if your number's picked, you get to press the button on one of these assholes. The war is still on, my fellow Americans, and I will still be here to do what I do best. Okay? Brain, mouth, engaged. I love you.